Hello, hello everyone. Phoenix61 here with your beginning of the week Rust and Rumble daily whatever you want to call it. World of Warships Legend stuff, right? Here we are as usual. I wanted to touch on Rust and Rumble again. I know I did a sort of intro video and gave my thoughts and feelings of it out there at the beginning of last week when it first released, and then it does go for 3 weeks. But what I wanted to call out is it does look like three of them, excuse me, three of the missions have reset, all of which offer up a total of 1,000 of the event currency. I think they're called skulls this time around. So in that case, my assumption of how close you could get to whatever it was, the ship, right, that you could buy from the store, I underestimated it a little bit, right? So I think I was like, you're gonna have to buy one of these big packages of crates, but yeah. So if you haven't been playing Rust and Rumble, there's the summary overview of it, and we'll go into a few games too. But I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about here. So yeah, the Madness ship, right? So it's basically a very heavily reskinned Zeiton, right? So it's like I say with a lot of these, if you're not especially if you don't like the Zeiton, you're probably not gonna like this ship, right? So I would just completely ignore it then, right? But it is a little bit different. The secondaries, I think, have been nerfed a little bit, but then you also get a rolling smoke charge with this thing, so that's kind of the big difference. But what I like is the scale. I like how it looks. I think it's freaking cool. And I would probably almost always never say buy a ship because it looks cool, right? So, but my assumptions on how close you could get, just because these three missions are going to reset, and I'm going to guess they're going to reset for next week too. You could get yourself to, I think so right now, I should see what I'm at right now too. I think I'm at 5,500 for the event currency. And I think if you, with these three missions resetting 2 more weeks, this week and next week, that's another 6,000 of that's 3,000 each week. So you could get yourself up to what? 11,500, right? You could get right at the edge, right? So you'd need 500 more of the skulls, which would be, buy two of the single crates or maybe one of the 5 package, right? Now there is other stuff in here, right? So if you're just 100% free to play, I think it's always nice because there's always something you can get for free, right? So there's some skins, there's some commander, material, whatever you want to call it, all this other stuff over here. Spring big crate 250, you get some commanders crates and even some common containers for 400, right? So just don't forget, at the end of the event, this currency goes away forever, so make sure you spend it by the end of next week, right? So depending on when you're watching this, right? But yeah, you could get, I think, about 1,000. What? Oh, so yeah, if it's 11.5, you could get about 1,000 away for free-ish, right? If you're if you grind through all the missions, right? If you hit them the first week and you plan to play enough, right? It was starting to get a little redundant playing through these missions. I definitely think this game mode, I like this a lot. I think something like this should replace arcade, the 5v5. I think, something like this with but it needs to be expanded on, right? If it needs to be, the 5, it needs to be like this, but 5 versus 5 and some more ships and other tools, right? It needs to be expanded on. But I think that would be really, really cool. So I'm going to go into strategy, right? So what I do with there's a couple of different game modes for this, right? And we're in the sort of the Escort, the battleship game mode to start out with here. And I have noticed this one's helpful for the missions where you need to do what is it, 1,000,000 damage, right? I think those are the ones that have been taking me the longest. And so I do think that there's a couple of strategies with this one with the Escort mission, right? If you notice your teammates are all kind of picking on a ship, absolutely try and get rid of that ship, right? So this cruiser here was getting picked on, so I kind of helped out with that. And so now that he's gone, I do see a lot of people with the Escort mission here, where you're escorting the Madness Fortress, right? So we have our own Madness Fortress, so we're trying to kill theirs. I do see a lot of people just 100% focusing on the battleship and hardly even touching player ships, right? Because I think part of that is one, if everybody's doing it, then it's a good strategy, right? Like, it's decent. Like, it's gonna, you know, you'll go through that ship fairly quickly if all 3 of your players are going after it. But also, some of the missions are dependent on doing lots of damage, and that's the easiest one to hit. Especially, you know, with like, especially with like the missiles and stuff, you know, like, it's the easiest one to hit, and it has a massive damage pool, you know, health pool. So I think that makes sense why people would go after it, you know, significantly, right? Like, so, like, this is going to be one of my higher damage games, just because, especially for the destroyer variant, you know, just because we just racked him with a bunch of torpedoes there, and he's so easy to hit with the missiles, right? So I get why people are doing that. So you have to keep that in mind, right? If you want to get the win, it is kind of helpful to stay somewhat close to your own battleship to try and help shoot down missiles and stuff that people are shooting at it. But us getting rid of that cruiser a little bit earlier on, I think, is what really made the difference here. But like I said, like, if you're the only one trying to get rid of another, you know, an enemy player ship, you might struggle a little bit, right? So it works out for us here. Our battleship had plenty of health left. Meanwhile, we were able to take his out, right? So part of that was because we got some guns off the board, you know, somewhat early on, right? We picked on their cruiser. So that's going to lead me into, so we'll get the win on this one, but that's going to lead me, yeah, we're up over 100,000 in the destroyer, right? So most of it was because we you know, we got a little bit out of that cruiser, but then most of that damage came from just kind of, you know, focus firing on that battleship, right? So yeah, 1,000 points for 1,000 XP for the win there, right? So now we'll go to the other variants. Are all like, you know, capture the zones or elimination rate, whatever, right? So like, some of them you get 2 zones to play with, and some of them, you know, in this one we get 1, right? So yeah, that leads me to my other thing, right? So with the you know, strategy for the destroyers, right, we kind of went through a little bit there, but what I like to do is, you know, keep an eye on the minimap, especially in the beginning here. I like to stay in front of my cruisers, because that cruiser is going to absolutely be the first one spotted. As you notice, we're spotting their cruiser first as well, right? So what you're going to see is all 3 enemy ships are just going to be sending all of their missiles at my cruiser, right? So I want to be in front of him, because those missiles are going to fly over top of me. So even if I don't have my anti-missile consumable ready, right, we're going to be getting shots off on these missiles, right? So my whole key strategy early on in the beginning of this game is just kind of stay somewhat in front of my cruiser. You do have to watch out for, 1, torpedoes, because they're going to be sending you know, the enemy destroyers are going to be sending torpedoes at him, because he's still the only thing they can see, right? And then, you know, unless you're getting radar, right, by the enemy cruiser, but and then yeah, we can help shoot down you know, missiles, you know, incoming missiles. So we're gonna end up sucking it out. So this is what I was talking about, right? Like, you got to remember that they're going to be sending the torpedoes at him too, so you have to watch out for that. And then with missiles too, you know, sometimes if I'm a little too close, and even if I'm still out in front, right? So I'm gonna go a little bit defensive here, just because of we took that hit, right? But and then this destroyer is pushing in pretty hard. But yeah, you do have to watch out for, like, if the enemy ships are, like, sort of overlead the cruiser with their missile shots, right? I've taken some missile hits because of that too, where I was like totally expecting the missile to fly up over top of me, but they dropped those missiles short. They ended up targeting me, because I must have been within, like, their aiming circle, right? So but yeah, well, this destroyer is low on health, so, and he's getting picked up by our cruiser's radar, so we'll send some missiles after him. And then, yeah, don't forget, you can, you know, missiles do work on the drone, so sometimes I try, if it makes sense, right, I try and help out with that. We just barely missed it, right? I think they're tough to hit, right? But yeah, we'll go after the cruiser. So we lost our cruiser there. That's fine, not too big of a deal. We're kind of prioritize, you know, we're getting this zone, so that's going to be big for us. I do notice like, you do get a lot of points for having the zones capped. So if you can get away with getting the zones capped without losing your ship, that can be pretty huge too, because points go up pretty quickly. And then, yeah, we saw several missiles coming, so we used the anti-missile defense. And then now we're out of either, yeah, his radar finally died, so we'll see if we can get this capture. I'm going to take a guess on the drone, just because they probably got that off at either me or my ally here. We do get the drone with the missile.
Engine boost is off. Time to cool down.
And then the Proteus is pretty low on health, so is their other destroyer. Might have enough damage. He might be low enough on health that we can get him with a missile, but I'm going to send the torpedoes too. Just in case. We do get him with the missile, that's fine. This cruiser is low on health. This should be an easy win at this point. And then we'll go into a couple cruiser games as well. Almost got the zone cap there. But like the thing that's frustrating is it doesn't matter like when it comes to the XP earnings at the end. I don't think, right? I feel like every time you win, you're getting what, 1,000 for a win and 200 for a loss, right? So it'd be nice to be able to compare myself to my teammates. And so yeah, so with cruisers, I kind of take the reverse strategy, right? I try to keep a destroyer somewhat out in front of me, right? So I'm kind of trying, at this point, I'm trying to like kind of chase down this guy. I hit the anti-missile defense like right at the last second there, so I managed to not take any damage there. And then yeah, when destroyers are spotted, you know, especially this guy, since he's close, it just makes sense to focus on him. So we'll use main guns on him and send more missiles on him. Your missiles do a little bit more damage, or a little bit harder hitting if you're the cruiser. I think it's like 10,000 versus like 6,000 or 8,000 for the destroyer. Yeah, I think we're going to eat one of these torpedoes no matter what. It's fine. We'll damage con the flood. Then don't forget you can shoot the drones with your main battery. That's a big advantage for the cruiser. Especially since probably most of the time you're going to be the one spotted more often than not, so it makes a lot of sense to try and get rid of the drones if you can. Come on, kill it. Thank you, thank you. And then yeah, this Petro, he must have taken some torpedoes or something, so he's kind of low. Tripped the missile defense there just because we just had it just in time. And then we're sending the drone, right? So pretty much send it when you got it. I originally thought maybe you could like tap the D-pad consumable on the drone again to like make it blow early if you wanted to. But that's not the case. You gotta be locked on to somebody, and then it will chase that person down. It is kind of stupid, like it's kind of dumb, like it's not smart. Like if that ship dies, right? Like then I've literally had to just sit there, right? But we do get the kill with the drone there on that one. And then we got the cruiser, or the destroyer as well. And then yeah, we took that drone out, one salvo there, so that was worth that. And then this game's going to be a little bit of just chasing down this last destroyer. So I'm going to fast forward through most of it here because yeah, he's just kind of running away. Like if he can't even spot us, like he's not even close enough to spot us, so he has nothing to shoot at, and you're gonna lose for sure. Like so, there's no point in running away like that. But he does it, so we get spotted, and he sends missiles at us. That's fine, that makes sense. Torpedoes through the zone, that's fine. All right, we'll just deal with them. So yeah, we shoot at him enough, but I think somebody else ends up getting the kill here. But we do get the zone cap though, which is kind of nice. So yeah, we're at 40,000 damage there. So like I said, like it's kind of nice to get those missions, you know, to get the game variant that has the Madness battleship in it, just because then you're going to be, you know, it's easier to get through, you know, progress through those missions where, you know, you're trying to earn the skull coins, right, the event currency, and you can do more damage, right? That's got a bigger damage pool, so it adds some health out there onto the battlefield. So we'll go into our last game here. But yeah, it's nice when you get that. But yeah, so same strategy here, like cruiser, right? I think a lot of people, and I was victim of it as well, but being the cruiser, like going up too far too quickly, and like, you know, you can see this guy, like he's gonna get picked on, right? Because he's the only one that's spotted, right? But I've got a destroyer player sort of kind of right in front of me, right? So pretty much any missiles that are heading this direction, his ship probably can shoot as well. And then yeah, I send the drone, and this is what I was talking about. Like it starts going for the island there instead of going right towards the ship, right? So it's like sometimes the path that they take is just a little weird and awkward, but yeah. And I've had it like get stuck like right in front of an island and I can't figure out what to do either. I've had that happen before as well, so you just deal with it. It's fine. But yeah, so we'll pick on this Petro here, and then I did trip the radar here to try and at least light up the destroyer so people know where they're at. But since this Petro was kind of already getting low on health, I wanted to help pick on him. If we can get the guns off the board, that'll be more valuable. I know, like normally, especially in standard game mode, right? You want to shoot at those destroyers when you have the opportunity, right? But here, getting this guy off the board is going to be super helpful for us. And then yeah, so just like with the cruiser, I think try staying, if you're struggling with the cruiser a little bit, try staying back a little bit more. And then if you can, right, when the opportunity presents itself, like keep one of your allied destroyer players kind of out in front of you. That way they're gonna start shooting some of those missiles that are incoming right before they actually get to you. And then just time the AA defense, right? The anti-missile defense is has been tough to time for myself at least. I don't always do it right. Yeah, so we tripped it there because we saw him coming. Yeah, it only lasts 5 seconds, but it is nice. It's a guaranteed gets rid of him. Yeah, here's this drone that he's like backing up. It doesn't know where to go. I'm pretty sure I was locked on to one of these destroyers. I think the cruiser had been dead already. Yeah, we get a little bit stuck on the island here, and so we're going to eat some of these torpedoes, but luckily we haven't, maybe my drone can take one for me. There we go, nice! I'm curious if that's intentional, right? Like, that would make sense, but if it blocks some torpedoes for me, like, that'd be pretty sweet.
We've taken the lead.
I doubt that was intentional, but that would make sense. Like, that would make sense, that'd be nice, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, we don't have radar right now, but we can see where the enemy missiles are coming from. So I'll just take a guess and shoot my missiles in that direction, and then I'm going to move forward, right, try and take some cover. We are out. We've consumed our health pool right now. Let's try and stay alive, right? And then sometimes I call for intel data, and it does, give the friendly reminder to your allied cruiser to like, oh yeah, I can use radar, right? So we did have that. I don't know whether it was just timing was just right or whether that actually worked there, but yeah. So call it out. Sometimes you get those cruiser players. Like the radar comes back pretty fast, and they get 3 of them, right? So, yeah. And then yeah, these missiles hit pretty tough. If you're a destroyer and you get hit by a cruiser missile, that's 10 grand of health. So, yeah. So even here, without without having this be an escort mission, right? We've got 54,000 damage. It's pretty decent for not having the battleship in the game. See if we can dodge these torpedoes. Get through these guys. We'll just keep sending the missiles. Like, eventually they're going to work. There's another 10K. Alright, so that is going to be our video for the day, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through here. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you are subscribed and following the channel. It really does help me out. I'm still kind of a small channel, so yes, your one subscription does help me out, and I do notice. Appreciate you. And then, yeah, make sure, if you are following, I do occasionally live stream, and we kind of just have a more casual, relaxed, let's have fun, pick out, we'll take suggestions on what ships to play and stuff like that when we live stream. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, I don't have a set schedule. I typically, I'm Central Time in the U.S., so I usually play it in the evenings. So if you're interested in that, make sure you hit the, notifications bell thingy, jigger, whatever, right? Have you right? So that way, if I do go live, you'll get a notification for it and can hop on and hang out with us. But yeah, again, thanks again, guys. Legends videos just about every day. So we'll see you next time.